Dear students, welcome to Python application programming. So this is the second session from module 5, that is networked programs. In the first session we have discussed about hypertext transfer protocol. Also we have discussed how to retrieve a file from a web page by using sockets. Also we have discussed some programs related to how we can retrieve an image in chunks from a web page, again by using HTTP protocol. So in this session we will be discussing how to retrieve web pages by using a library called as urlib. Also we will discuss how to retrieve a binary file which is either an image or a video by using the library urlib. Also we will discuss how to parse HTML and how to scrape information from the web. So then we will be discussing about again parsing the HTML code by using the regular expression, and at the end we will be discussing something called as Beautiful Soup, which is a library that is available to us for parsing. So let us first start with the urlib, that is the library that is available to us, which makes it very easier to access the web pages from any server. Python provides a simpler way of web page retrieval using the library urlib. So we have already discussed how to retrieve web page by using sockets, and that's a quite complicated procedure. A very simple procedure to access a web page is by using the library called as urlib. So here web page is treated as a file. urlib handles all of the HTTP protocol and header details. So we need not specify many information as we specify it by using HTTP protocol. So here we have a very simple program that is used to access a file from a particular web server. So let us take a web server called data.pr4e.org. From this particular server we would like to retrieve a text file called romeo.txt. So we have already discussed the previous version by using sockets how we can access this particular page. So now we will repeat again, but this time by using the urlib library. So if you are using urlib, you need to import that module in your program. So import urlib.request. Request is used to place a request to a particular web page. So then let us open the URL. So we need to write urllib.request url open. Following that we have to pass parameter as the name of the page which we would like to, that is URL of the page which we would like to access. So fhand is the file handler here, because we told you the web page is treated as a file here. So we need a file handler. So fhand, so urllib.request.url open. So we are making a request to open a web page. So now once it is done, let us print the text that we have retrieved. So for line in fhand, so we are retrieving each line there here. Print line.decode.strip. So whatever we have received, it will be encoded. So now what we do is we decode it from the binary format and then use the strip method. So we know that strip method is used to remove any white space that appears in the beginning or at the end of a particular line. So this is a very simple program to retrieve a web page from a server. So first we need to import the module, then we need to place a request and open the particular web page or the page that we would try to retrieve. So then we are using for loop to print each line and by removing the additional decoding and removing the additional white spaces that appears in the beginning and end of the file. So once the web page has been opened with URL lib.url open, we can treat it as a file and read through it using a for loop. So this is what we have discussed. So when the program runs, we can only see the output of the contents of the file. The headers are still set, but the URL lib code consumes the headers and only returns the data to us. So if we have observed the previous program using sockets, we see that in the output we are able to see the header as well. For example, like content type. So all those information, the header is written, whereas in case of this, headers will be sent by the destination, but URL lib code will strip off the header and only the data part will be retrieved to us, or it is returned to us. So now let us see another program to retrieve the data from the file romeo.txt, which is residing in a web server called www.data.pr4e.org, and then to count the number of words in it. So the program is quite similar to the previous one. So we are retrieving a file called romeo.txt from a web server, and then we will count the occurrence of each word in that particular file. So number of times a word repeats. So that is counted for each word. So here is the program. So first, as we have discussed, we need to import the urlib.request module. So then let us open the particular URL by using URL open, and we know that any web page is treated as a file here. So the f hand is a file handler here. So let us take a dictionary. Let us create a dictionary called count here. So this dictionary is created because we need to record the number of occurrences of each word. So the value would be a particular word, and the key would be a particular word, and the value will be the number of occurrence of that word. So let us create a dictionary called as counts here. So we write counts is equal to dictionary. Right now it is going to be empty. So for line in f hand, so we will retrieve each line from the file. Now words is equal to line.decode.split. So once we retrieve a particular line from the dictionary, so let us decode that. We know that the retrieved file will be in the binary format. So let us first decode it. Once we decode, we will split that line into a list by delimiter, using the white space as the delimiter, because see, we have one single line, but we want to extract each word and count the number of occurrences of that word. So we will split that line by using the white space as the delimiter. So we write words is equal to line.decode.split. Now for each word in word, so what happens, we are returned a list basically when we use the split function. So for every word in the list called list, counts of word is equal to, so we are creating a dictionary with the actual word as the key. So counts of word is equal to counts dot get of word comma 0 plus 1. So what do we do is, for every word, if that particular word is not present in the dictionary, then it will be added. Otherwise, so the key value will be the word here. So we are retrieving the current count. So what is the value right now? So counts dot get word comma 0. So that is what is the current value that is returned plus 1. So for example, if a particular word, say soft, is appearing 5 times right now, so again once you encounter that word, you need to increment the count by 1. So count get word comma 0 plus 1. So increment the count by 1 for that particular word. So this process we will repeat. So I hope the procedure is clear. So what we do is, first we extract a single line, then we decode that line and split it into words. Then for each word we will find the number of occurrences. And remember, split function will return as a list. So from the list we will fetch each word and find the total number of occurrence of that word. So at the end we can print the dictionary. So now the dictionary will print the word and its frequency, that is key and value pair will be the word and its frequency. So now let us discuss how to read binary files using URLib. So a binary file, as you know, it is a non-text file, either a video file or an image file. So we will discuss a program here to read an image from a web page and store it in a current directory. So let us begin here. So sometimes you want to retrieve a non-text or binary file such as an image or video file. The data in these files is generally not useful to print out, but we can easily make a copy of a URL to a local file on the hard disk using URL lib. So that is the library that is provided by Python. So here we have a simple program to retrieve image file from the web using URL lib. So in the earlier program we have discussed how to retrieve a text file. So here we will discuss how to retrieve a binary file, which here in this case is an image. So again, the first two lines are quite similar. So import urlib dot request. So we need to import the library here. So then image is equal to img is the variable created for the file object here. So that is the URL is opened here, so it is identified by img. So img is equal to url lib dot request dot url open. Then we write the name of the web page that we would like to open. So that is data.pr4e.org. So from this we want to open a file called as cover3.jpg dot read. So we want to read all the data here. So then f hand is equal to open cover3.jpg.wb. So here first we are creating an object for we are creating a variable for the file object. So f hand is equal to open, that is we are going to open a file called as, that is to create a new file called as cover3.opg, and into this file, because we are writing an image, so it's a binary information, so we will open this file in WB mode, that is write it in binary mode. So once we open the file, f hand is the variable for the file object here. So let us write to the file. So what do we write to the file that we have opened? The image that we have requested by using the URL lib. So once we do that, we can close the file variable. So what we do here is we will open the file. That is, we will place a request to retrieve the file, then we will create a new file, and we will write the contents of the whatever we have retrieved into the new file that is created. So once we execute the previous program, we can see a file cover 3.jpg in the current working directory in our computer. So the program reads all of the data in once across the network and stores it in the variable img in the main memory of your computer. Then it opens the file cover.jpg and writes the data out to the disk. So this will work fine if the size of the file is less than the size of the memory, that is RAM of your computer. However, if it is large audio or video file, this program may crash or at least run extremely slow when your computer runs out of memory. So if you observe the previous program, we know that we have accessed the complete file at once. So we also know that the file is stored in the memory. So what happens, the problem here is, in case the size of the file is greater than the RAM of the computer, then it is not possible to store that file. So in that case, either the program will crash or it will work very slowly. So that is a problem. So to avoid this, what we can do is, we can retrieve the data in blocks or in buffers and then write each block to the disk before retrieving the next block. So instead of retrieving the file all at once, we can retrieve block by block, and every time we retrieve a block, we will write to the disk before retrieving the next block. So because of this, the program can read any size file without using all of the memory that is available in the computer. So let us see the program now. So here is the program: import urllib.request. So once we do that, let us open the file here. So the file is saved in the variable img in the memory of the main memory of the computer. So that is the file is cover3.jpg from the web server data.pr4e.org. So now the file is stored in the main memory. So now let us open another because we need to copy it, right? So let us open another file here called let us create a new file called as cover3.jpg, and we will, because we are writing an image to this file, we are opening the file in the WB mode, that is to write the binary information. So initially let us take the size of the file is 0, so we will assign size is equal to 0. So now, while true, info is equal to image.read. So what we do is, from the main memory we are reading only 1 lakh bytes, right? So we will read so many bytes. Now if the length of the info, whatever we have read, if the length is less than 1 break, what it means is, each time we are reading 1 lakh bytes of bytes. Now suppose it is less than 1, what does that mean? It means it is whatever we have read, it is empty, no more information is available. So in such a case we can stop the program. Otherwise, let us find the size of the information that we have retrieved. So size is equal to size plus length of info. So whatever we have already accessed plus the current amount of information that we have fetched. So size is equal to size plus length of info. That is, in case this is the second time we are retrieving. In the first one we have retrieved already 1 lakh bytes. So size will be 1 lakh. 1 lakh plus the current 1 lakh if it is available, 1 lakh bytes, or maybe lesser than that. So that is what we do, and then finally we write this whatever 1 lakh bytes we have accessed, we will write it to the file, that is cover3.jpg. So this process we will repeat. That means for each time we are retrieving only 1 lakh characters of the data from the web. So then we will write this 1 lakh characters to the file, and this process will continue. So here we read only 1 lakh characters at a time and then write those characters to cover.jpg file before retrieving the next 1 lakh characters of the data from the web. So once we run the program, an image file cover3.jpg will be stored in the current working directory. So the next topic to discuss is parsing HTML and scraping the web. So we already know what is HTML. It is hypertext markup language. So let us see how we can scrape the web. So one of the most common uses of URL lib capability in Python is to scrape the web. So now let us see what do you mean by scraping the web. So web scraping is when we write a program that pretends to be a web server and retrieves pages, then examines the data in those pages looking for patterns. In simple words, see, we will search one web page. That web page has a link to another web page. So once we click the link, we go to that new page. Again, that web page may have some more links. So again, we click, we go to some other page. So this is a continuous process. So this is called as web scraping. So for example, a search engine such as Google will look at the source of one web page and extract the links to other web page and retrieve those web pages, extracting the links and so on. So it's a continuous processor. So using this technique, Google spiders its way through nearly all of the pages on the web. That is, from one page we go to another page. From that page we go to yet another page. So this process continues. So ultimately we will end up in visiting all of the web pages that is available. So this information, so how many times we access a particular page, is the frequency is taken into consideration. That means we count the number of times a particular web page is being being accessed. So based on that, based on the frequency, we can determine which page is important for a user and where it has to appear in the result. So whenever we browse the data, whichever comes on the top, whichever result we get it on the top, it depends on the number of retrievals, that is number of times that particular page has been accessed. So Google uses the frequency of links from pages it finds to a particular page as one of the measure of how important a page is and how high the page should appear in its search results. So next, let us discuss how to parse HTML by using regular expression. So sometimes we may need to parse the data on the web page which matches a particular pattern. For example, we want to search, say, some files, maybe like we want to search all the text files. So if we are doing that, we know that all the text files ends with the extension .txt. So we can write a pattern or a regular expression that matches this pattern. So that is one of the very good ways of matching many patterns that we want to, or patterns of particular pattern that we would like to access. So for this purpose we can use regular expression. So now let us consider a program that extracts all the hyperlinks given in a particular web page. That means from a web page, if you know what are hyperlinks, right? From a web page, if you have to go to another web page, a link will be provided, and that is called as hyperlink. So in the last session we have discussed, for example, in Wikipedia we see that some words are being written in some different colors, something like blue. So when you click on that, you go to another page. So that is a hyperlink. Or so, for example, if you are writing your email ID, sometimes you see that it appears in the different colors, say blue color. So again, if you click on that, you will go to your email. So that is nothing but hyperlink. So to understand the Python program for this purpose, we need to know the pattern of a HTML file. So let us take a simple example here to understand how a HTML file looks like. Okay. So just look at the program here. So here we have so here H1 and H2 indicates the beginning of the header tags. So then P and /P, they are the beginning and end of the paragraph tags, and A and /A are the beginning and end of anchor tag, and this anchor tag is used for giving links, and href is the attribute for the anchor tag, which makes the value as a link for another page. That is, so here, so we have h1 here. So this is the header tag. So the header tag tells that this is the first page. So then we have a paragraph tag. So what it tells is, so if you like, you can switch to this page. That means this will be the first page where you are currently, and you want to go to the second page. So what you do is you provide a hyperlink. So in order to provide a hyperlink, you need the anchor tag. So within that you use the href attribute, so which takes a particular value. So this is the value that is provided, http www.dr-chuck.com and some page2.html. so this is the value that is provided, which is the second page. So what happens, this is the link to another page. So from the first page you have a link to the second page. So this is how the structure of a HTML file looks like. So the above information clearly indicates that if we want to access all the hyperlinks in a web page, then we need to write a regular expression which matches the href attribute. That means in a page we can have many number of hyperlinks. So it is not possible to access each one of them by writing their names. So instead what we can do is we can write a regular expression that matches all these hyperlinks in the web page, and we are able to fetch the required information. So the regular expression that we will write here is like this, href. So in the earlier example we saw that we have written a direct link, the page that we would like to access, whereas here we can write a regular expression. So the regular expression is href is equal to http : dot plus ? double quote. So our regular expression looks for strings that starts with href is equal to, that is http : to forward slashes, or href is equal to https : to / followed by one or more characters, that is dot plus ? followed by another double quote. So the question mark behind the s, that is here indicates to, so here, so in this case we have written http : to forward slashes dot plus ? So suppose we want to say we would like to search HTTPS, we can mention that explicitly by writing that in the square bracket. So what happens, so it will search the file with HTTP followed by 0 or 1. Yes, so in this case it can find also only the HTTP pages without the secure pages. So the question mark that is added to the dot plus ? so that which you can see at the end, indicates that the match is to be done in a non-greedy fashion instead of a greedy fashion. So we know that non-greedy match tries to find the smallest possible matching string, and the greedy match tries to find the largest possible matching string. So now let us write a Python program that uses this regular expression to extract all the hyperlinks from the web page that is given as the input. So here is the program. So import URL lib.request. So we have already discussed what is this. Then we are also importing one more module called as URL lib.parse. So this module defines a standard interface to break the URL strings up in components. So that is for example the addressing scheme, network location, path, etc., and to combine the components back into a URL string and then convert a relative URL to a absolute URL. So the URL lib.parse module defines function that falls into two categories basically, that is URL parsing and URL quoting. So the URL parsing function focus on splitting a URL string into components. So the next module that we are importing is URL error. So in URL error, so this is basically used to check if we get any kind of error, for example while searching the page. For example, if there is any form of exception that is thrown while accessing the web page, for example if the particular page is not available or any other case, so if any exception is thrown by the by when during the request, then that can be handled by using URL lib.error. So that is the reason why include this one. So it defines the exception classes for exception that is raised by URL lib.request. So the base exception class is URL error. So there are different exceptions that could be thrown. For example, URL error, that is, or HTTP error, etc. So next we will include one more module, that is import RE. So this is you already know, whenever we use any regular expression we need to use the module RE. The next module that we are importing is import SSL. So this module provides access to transport layer security, which is also called as secure sockets layer encryption and peer authentication facilities for network sockets, both in the client side as well as the server side. So this particular module uses the OpenSSL library, and it is available on most of the modern systems. So this particular module also provides a class called the SSL socket, which is derived from the socket types, and again it provides like a socket like wrapper. So the next code that we have is to ignore the SSL certificate error. So whenever we request the page, suppose it is we would like to retrieve only pages that are secure. So just to confirm that we are using if any form of error is encountered, if you would like to ignore such errors, then we can use the this one. Okay, we can mix the statements that are given below, that is ctx is equal to ssl dot create underscore default underscore context, then ctx dot check underscore host name is equal to false, ctx dot verify underscore mode is equal to ssl dot cert underscore none. So this means, like, if you do not want if you just want to ignore the errors, then we use all this. So here basically the create underscore default underscore context, it returns a new SSL context object with default settings for the particular given purpose. Though these settings are actually chosen by the SSL module, and usually it represents a higher security level than when calling the SSL context constructor directly. So this is the default context. Then hosting is equal to false, and then verify mode is cert underscore none. So the possible value for context dot verify underscore mode or the cert underscore reqs parameter is cert underscore none. So that means in the server mode we do not want no certificate, or we do not want any or the server does not want to want any certificate from the client. So what does the client do? Client will not send any certificate for the client here. for the server for the authentication. So that is the reason why do we use this certificate, and that means we are not going to send any certificate here, or in the client mode it will be the vice versa. So once this is written, so let us request the page that we would like to access. So we write URL is equal to input, enter. So the text that is printed is enter here. So here when we see this, we need to print the URL, any URL we need to print. So the program will search the other links that are present in that particular web page. So once we type the URL, now the URL that we type is stored in the variable URL here. So next, let us again open the particular page that we have requested. So HTML is equal to URL lib.request.url open. So open the URL. Okay, URL is equal to context is equal to CTX. That is CTX is the variable that we have created for the SSL object. So we are just telling to ignore the any form of certificate errors dot read. So we are opening the particular URL here. So then links is equal to re.find all. So we are trying to find all the patterns that match this particular regular expression. B, that is to encode H reference is equal to HTTPS :// within double quotes. So here we try to retrieve all the hyperlinks that are present in the current page. That means from the current page, if you have any link to other page, then all those links have to be retrieved. That is done because every hyperlink that it is the link will start with the HTTP or HTTPS, so that gets retrieved here. So now once all the links are retrieved, so for each link we will write a for loop to traverse through each of the link and display them. So for link in links, print link.decode. So the binary information that is present is now decoded, and the links will get printed here. So let us see a sample output here. So let us when you run the program, so you are asked to enter the a particular web page. For example, say I entered here www.ajit.edu.in. So when I enter this link, what are the hyperlinks or what are the links that are available from this page? That should be the result. So we have 3 results here. So vlab.co.in, and one link from some page we are linked from to the same web server, and one more is w3layouts.com. So you can try with any of the websites. So all the links that are present that is available from this page will be the result when you type a particular hyperlink. So that is the program. So now let us discuss parsing HTML using Beautiful Soup. So we have seen how to extract information from web page by using sockets or by using URL lib. So now let us discuss how we can parse HTML by using a special library that is available, which is nothing but Beautiful Soup. So there are a number of Python libraries which can help us to parse HTML and extract data from pages. Each of the libraries has its strengths and weakness, and we can pick any one depending on our needs. According to our need, we can pick any one of the library. So Beautiful Soup library is one of the simplest available library. So if you have to run the program that is present later in this section, you need to download the Beautiful Soup code. So the path name is given here, students. I think it's visible here. So this is the path name. You need to download this. Yeah, and any information related to Beautiful installing this particular Beautiful Soup is also available here in the lower link. So let us discuss what is Beautiful Soup. So before going to Beautiful Soup, So let me tell you a scenario here. So here let us take, we have one web page, okay. So this is the, if you see the URL here, it is showing my drive details, but whereas here it is actually, let's assume that this is one say Dr. Chuck web server. So this is one web server that we have. From in this web server, so the page that is getting displayed is the first page, and you can see a text below that, what is written there. If you like, you can switch to the second page, and if you observe, second page is a hyperlink. So because the color, if you just click on the cursor, you will be taken to one more page. So here in this case, the second page is the content here. So now if I click on this page, I will be taken to the second page. So this is my second page here. So drchuck.com page2.html. So let us assume that the previous page, that is this one, is page1.html, whereas this one is page2.html. So what do you observe is, when you click on page, that is the second page from page1.html, you will be taken to the page2.html. So now we will write a program to find all these links. For example, so if you are in all the hyperlinks that are available from a particular page, that is like from page 1 you are going to page 2. So all these details, if you want to access, that means you have written a HTML code. So we have already discussed one HTML code here. So let me just take you. So this was the HTML page that we have discussed. So we have a first page is the header there. So there is a paragraph tag. What it is telling, if you like, you can switch to that is the content that gets displayed, and there is a link. A is the anchor tag, and basically it is used for giving link, and the link where you want to go to, the page that where you want to go to, that is written in href tag. So that is what is written here. It is written as drchuck.com page2.html, and the content, that is the link, that is when you need to click on a link, the hyperlink, right? So what should get displayed in that hyperlink? That is nothing but the second page. I hope this is clear, students. So this is the text that gets displayed following this text. That is, if you like, you can switch to the following this will get displayed, that is second page. But whereas this second page is actually hyperlink to this one, to this page, http://www.drchuck.com. So for this program, let us discuss how we can parse this particular HTML file. Parsing means, you know what is parsing, right? So from a particular file, you are extracting, basically when you perform the compilation process, you need to first lexical analysis, parsing, all those techniques probably are known to you. That is, you are just dividing into the tokens and trying to find out the different components of a particular file. So what we do here is, so for this particular HTML file, we will parse it. That is, we will extract some information from this particular HTML page. So now we will write a program. What that program does is, it is going to parse a HTML page, and from that particular HTML page that we have, it should extract all the links from that page. That is, we have already written this program by using the URL lib. The previous program that we have discussed, it does the same purpose. It retrieves all the links, hyperlinks from the current page. So the same program we will write again. So again, this program also should give us all the links that are available from a particular HTML page. So let us write this program by using Beautiful Soup. So this is how the program looks like. So first, we know all the first line is pretty much clear to you. URL lib request, URL lib.parse for the parser, URL lib.error, that is to handle the exception when you download retrieve the web pages. So next, before running this program in PyCharm, you need to install a Beautiful Soup library. So then we need to import that particular package. So we need to write from BS4 import Beautiful Soup. So this is the very important statement whenever you use Beautiful Soup. So then import SSL that is the secure socket layer package. So the following 3 lines have already been discussed, that is to ignore any SSL certificate error when we download the particular information. So the next part of the program is like this, that is URL is equal to input enter. So what happens here is a prompt will get displayed called enter, and whatever you enter will be stored in URL. That means you need to enter a URL of a particular page here. So next, HTML is equal to URL lib.request.url open URL comma context is equal to ctx.read. So context ctx is nothing but it is from the previous page, that is the default context for the SSL. This is already been discussed here. So dot read. So what we will do is we will open a URL in the read mode. So that is nothing but stored in HTML. So basically that should be the name of the file where a HTML code is present. So let us consider the previous example. So what we will do is when we run the program, we will enter drchuck.page1.html. But however, you are free to enter any website, any web server name here. So now once it is done, let us create an object for the beautiful soup class, that is the library. So what we do is soup is equal to beautiful soup HTML comma HTML parser. So HTML is the page that we are going to access, that is the page that we are going to parse, and HTML parser is the parser name here. So next, so once we create a variable for the beautiful soup, let us the next thing to do is retrieve all the hyperlinks from that particular page, and we know that all the hyperlinks are always written within the anchor tag. So we need to extract the anchor tag here. So we take another variable, tags is equal to soup, within bracket we have written a here, a within single quote. So that means we are trying to extract the anchor tag. If in case you write p here, then all the page tags will be retrieved. So whichever tag you want to parse, that tag you need to write here. So because we need to know all the links are written in the anchor tag, so we are writing here a here. So next, for tag in tag, so all the tags will be retrieved here. For each of the tag, what we do is print tag.get h-reference comma none. So for that, whatever tag we have retrieved, we are going to print the tag, means that entire portion will be retrieved. From that we want only the link portion, that is http : something, say ajit.edu.in, suppose that is the link that is available. So we need that link. So that link is actually written in the href attribute. So we are trying to print the value of that href attribute. I hope this is clear, students. So first we will create a variable for the beautiful soup library, then we will retrieve all the anchor tags. So soup of a we need to write. Then for all of the tags, what we do is we will retrieve the link from that is written in that particular anchor tag. So tag.get href comma null. So when you run this program, for example, let us enter the web server name as www.drchuck.com/page1.html. So imagine that is the first page that we have seen. We have discussed one HTML page, right? Let us imagine that it is that page. So from there, what do we need? We know that there is a link to one more page. That is, when you click on second page, you will be taken to drchuck.com page2.html. So that is the output that is displayed. That is that in that particular page there is only one hyperlink. So only that particular hyperlink will get displayed. So if you have written any page in which there are multiple hyperlinks, then all those will be listed here. So the program prompts for a web address, then opens the web page and reads the data and passes the data to the beautiful soup parser, and then retrieves all of the anchor tags and print out the href attribute for each tag. So I hope this is clear to you. So next, students, let us discuss one more program quite similar to the previous one. In the previous one, we have just retrieved the link. So in this program, we will retrieve many attributes of the anchor tag. For example, we can retrieve the, say if you write say content, if you write content, that whatever content gets displayed, that can be retrieved. If you want, you can retrieve the URL. So there are many attributes, right? So if you want to, from a particular tag, if you want to retrieve many attributes, then how it can be done? So that is what we will discuss here. So Beautiful Soup can be used to extract various parts of each tag. So this portion is similar to the previous program. So we need to first create a import the Beautiful Soup library here. Then the next part is to ignore any SSL certificate errors. So after that, again here the first 4 lines are similar. So we are requesting a user to enter a URL here. So once it is done, that URL whatever is been entered, that page has to be open. So once it is open, we will create the variable for the parser here. So we need to create a parser of the Beautiful Soup parser, for which we need to create a variable. So we write soup is equal to Beautiful Soup HTML HTML parser. So we have created the parsing is for the HTML, that is nothing but the link, the page that we have opened, whose name we have given as HTML. So now tags is equal to soup of A. Again this is used to retrieve all the anchor tags. So if you have to retrieve all the anchor tags, you need to write A. Whichever tag you want to retrieve, it's tag name you need to write here. So what we do here is, for tag in tags, this part is also same. So we are displaying 4 information here. The first information is the tag. So this will display the complete tag here. Okay, so then here the next one, it displays the URL. So where is the URL written? URL, it is nothing but in the anchor tag where you would, from the anchor tag where you would like to go to, that is written in the href. So we are retrieving the href here. For example, www.drchuck.com.page2.html, that is this. Then the next one is the content. Content is nothing but on the link whatever appears, that is the content. For example, we have written the second page. So second page is the hyperlink. So if you click on second page, you are taken to that particular URL. So that is nothing but content here. So tags.contents of 0. And the last one is attribute. So this will display the attributes for that is the value will get displayed here. So we are displaying 4 information here. So let us see the sample output here. So here we have entered, so we will enter the URL as chuck.com page1.html. So then the next one information that we are displaying is the tag here. Tag is the complete tag. So that is A. So this portion starting from here, A till here, this A. So this is the complete tag, A, href drchuck.com page2.html, and this is nothing but second page is nothing but the content here and the end of the tag. So the complete tag is getting displayed here. So the next one is URL. So only this URL portion is getting displayed till here. So that is getting displayed. And the next one is second page. So you see this is the content here. That means this is the link. So if you click on this, you will go to this particular page. So the content is this. You see a new line here because it is written in the next line. And the last one is the attributes. So that is which are the attributes that are used in that tag. So in the anchor tag we have used only one attribute, that is href, that is the attribute, and what is its value. So that gets displayed here. So I hope this is clear. So from one particular tag we are displaying 4 information, that is the complete tag, the URL, the content, and the attribute and its value. So HTML parser is the HTML parser included in the standard Python 3 library. So this is about Beautiful Soup. So if you compare this with the previous program, this is pretty much easier. So when you use, instead of using URL, we can use this to parse the any particular web page by the HTML code. So that's all we have in this session, students. Thank you for watching.